What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob. So, I think I told you in one of my earlier reviews that I had bought this bottle from the UK from my brother-in-law. He brought it over for me from England. And me and three other guys split it so that we could, cut the cost a little bit, because although it was only $170, it's still, it's an excuse for guys to get together, have a drink without having to spend too much on a bottle. So it worked out to $40 each. I paid the extra just because they let me take it home to do the review. So we got the GlenDronach 21-year-old Parliament. Okay, this is non-chill filtered, no added color. It's bottled at 48%. Okay, so it's bottled at a nice hefty alcohol percentage. It's got the two key terms that we always look for in a Scotch, which is natural color and non-chill filtered. Okay, Parliament has no political meaning to it. A parliament is actually a particular type of bird. When they flock together, they're called a parliament. Just like, when crows flock together and there's a bunch of them, they're called a murder of crows. And there's a whole bunch of different ones. I don't know all the terms, but parliament's just referring to a particular type of bird. I'm assuming that originates or lives in the GlenDronach distillery area. Okay. Anyway, as you can see, you have a dark amber color here. Okay, like I said earlier, it's natural color, so that's pretty impressive. You have some pretty dark whiskey here, which tells us that there's a good chance that there's first fill barrels involved. It's a combination of Pedro Ximenez sherry and Oloroso sherry, just like the 12-year-old. So it's been aged in those two types of barrels for 21 years. So if you watch my 12-year-old review, the review of the GlenDronach 12-year-old, I raved about it. It was fantastic stuff. This too is fantastic stuff, and I'll explain why in a sec. I'm not sure if the camera gets it, but as you can see, the glare or the streaks in the glass, those are called legs. All right, that demonstrates the viscosity of this actual Scotch. Okay, the non-chill filtration has done wonders here, because you have a very syrupy, buttery type Scotch. Ideally, you want to let this sit for 21 minutes. Okay, take your time. When you spend upwards of $170 on a bottle, that's Canadian dollars. I can't remember what the conversion was. You want to take your time with it. You don't want to rush into anything. You want to get the optimal whiskey and give it its fair shake. So wait the 21 minutes. For the sake of the review, I'm not going to wait a full 21 minutes, but what I will do to kill some time, I want to show you some of the stuff that I will be reviewing in the next little while. I think I've mentioned already that I'm doing the Gooderham & Worts 4 grain. It's a Canadian whiskey. Originally the distillery was in Toronto. Now the same company that owns Wiser's has taken over. All right, so they're making the Gooderham & Worts. Pretty good stuff. I'll get to that eventually. We got on loan from my older brother, Alberta Premium 30-year-old. Okay, Alberta Premium 30-year-old came out a while back. When it was released, it was $50 Canadian a bottle, which is unheard of for a 30-year-old whiskey. Even more unheard of for a 100% rye whiskey. Okay, so this is 100% rye, and it's aged 30 years old. I'll tell you how it matches up to the Canadian Club. So you'll get a review of this and possibly a head-to-head with the Canadian Club 30-year-old. $50. You can't go wrong. I have the GlenDronach 12-year-old sherry wood coming up. This GlenDronach owns GlenDronach now. Okay, this is made using the exact same process as the GlenDronach 12-year-old. They're both Pedro Ximenez and Oloroso sherry casks. GlenDronach is in the Highlands region. This is in the Speyside region. So it's amazing how the region actually makes the whiskey taste different. I also, from distillery to distillery within the same region, it blows my mind. Made the exact same way, yet they taste drastically different. I'll tell you which one is better. You know, like I said earlier, I highly recommend the GlenDronach 12-year-old. You'll see how I feel about the GlenDronach 12-year-old. And then I have the Talisker 10-year-old coming up. I haven't opened this one yet. I'm not crazy about the fact that it's owned by Diageo, but I mean, I'm not gonna get into that right now. But it's got insane reviews. I've tried it a couple times at a bar. It's good stuff. So I will review that. It's not open yet, that one in particular. All right. And then coming from the UK at the end of May, my brother-in-law will be coming back once and for all. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll go back to the UK in the future. But for now, he'll be back. He's bringing me a smaller bottle of the GlenDronach 21-year-old, which I will use for my review. It's about 200 milliliters as opposed to the traditional 750, which saves me from having to open up this bottle. And he's also bringing me, which I'm extremely excited about because it's not available in Ontario, is the Old Pulteney 17-year-old. Old Pulteney 17-year-old is a mixture of Pedro Ximenez and Oloroso sherry, but it has a drastically different color than your 21-year-old here. The 12-year-old Old Pulteney and the 21-year-old Old Pulteney are available in Ontario right now, as well as the 40-year-old. So I figured I'd get the 17-year-old, have him bring that back for me. All right. Without further ado, I'm gonna go to the nose here. This is bottled at 48%. Okay, so like I think I mentioned that earlier, but it's pretty hefty in alcohol. But that does not at all come through on the nose. Okay, does not come through at all. So smooth, so sweet. You get caramel apples, like caramel apple pie actually. You don't have any of the tardiness of like a younger whiskey that tastes like apples, okay? When you get that apple taste, there's a touch of tardiness to it as well. That doesn't happen here at all. It's cooked down, it's as sweet as it gets. You're getting like sweet caramel apple pie, okay? Alright, there's a little bit of orange marmalade in there, a jammy orange. Okay, chocolate, like I said, but it's milk chocolate, it's not dark chocolate. You do get the hint of like a sweet coffee, but you're not getting the bitterness of like a cocoa. Okay, so like I said, it's not dark chocolate, it's sweet chocolate, sweet milk chocolate. Okay, there's a fudgy note there as well. And some raisin as well. Alright, okay, on the palate. So smooth, a buttery texture. It's got a lot of weight to it. That's coming from the non-chill filtration. Super sweet. Okay. It does not taste like it's 48%. If someone asked me, if someone handed me a glass of this, didn't tell me what it was, didn't tell me how strong it was, I'd take a sip thinking it's no more than 40 to 43%, but clearly very old, clearly very smooth, and they were being very kind to me, in my opinion, if they handed me a glass of this. Such a good whiskey, okay? So, melted chocolate ice cream. That's what I'm getting here, both in texture and in taste. You do get the fruitiness, but it's cooked, stewed fruits, okay? Cooked down with brown sugar. That's how sweet it is. It's when the group of us got together and tried this, one of the wives brought out a bunch of chocolate from, I guess it was from Easter. And usually, rule of thumb is you do not eat like sweet chocolates or desserts when you're having your usual Scotch. Of course, there's the exception to the rule. Usually, it's a good idea to have like a dark chocolate. This matched head to head with the sweetest chocolate you can ever have. Usually, there'd be a drop off in the Scotch when you went back to it. That didn't happen at all here. It's really sweet stuff. It's a dessert Scotch. It really is. If you're a connoisseur, I'm sure you can appreciate it. It might even be too sweet for you, but for the entry-level people, for the people that have a sweet tooth, this is definitely the one for you. Okay, it's excellent stuff. Connoisseurs will draw to this because GlenDronach is a great distillery. They make a great whiskey. It's very the sweetness comes from the Pedro Ximenez maturation. Okay. So connoisseurs love this stuff. From all the reviews I've watched and read, I haven't heard a bad thing about this. But it is super sweet, so it's not for everybody, okay? But if you were converting from or trying Scotch for the first time, and you're usually, let's say, a cognac guy or a rum guy, this would be the perfect one to transition into it because it matches up in sweetness to a cognac and a rum. Okay, it's fantastic stuff. All right, one more taste and then I'll give it a mark. Okay, so you do get some oakiness, a touch more oakiness than the GlenDronach 20-year-old that was exclusively aged in a Pedro Ximenez puncheon. The reason why you get a little bit more oak is because they use smaller barrels for this particular bottling, which allows it to have more exposure to the wood. More exposure to the oak gives it that more oaky, chocolatey taste, okay? But it's not a bitter oak, I wouldn't say at all. And sometimes that can happen with older Scotch, but that's not what I get here. It's fantastic stuff. Okay, there's a long finish. You're still tasting the chocolate, the cooked down fruit, even like a fudgy note. Okay, it's fantastic stuff. It's buttery, it coats the palate. Really, really, really good. Okay, I'm gonna give that a solid A. Excellent stuff. If you haven't already and you've watched a couple of my videos, subscribe, share with a friend, share with somebody that likes whiskey or Scotch. I tend to focus on Scotch and Canadian whiskey, but I do have a few bourbons that I'm looking into grabbing. Some of the ones that I've really enjoyed over the years that I would like to share with you guys. So I want to get at some bourbons, and I do want to get into some of the New Zealand and Australian whiskeys and Japanese whiskey as well, because there's a huge market for Japanese whiskey at the moment. All right, this is a solid A. This was Whiskey in the Six. Again, I'm Rob. Thanks for watching, guys. Cheers.